Sweet, Shred Episode 2.
We've had enough hangovers.
Yeah.
It's time for Shred Episode 2. In this one, we're going to talk about learning and influences. Everything basically can shape the way you play as
Well, that's it.
a musician.
Even stuff you don't learn, you listen to it and it changes you.
Yeah, that's
Changes
right.
your approach.
I didn't actually get into music properly until I was about 15, but I'd heard music before then. Things like Queen, The Darkness, Green Day, System of a Down, different kinds of music. I guess that's quite a good approach to getting into it.
Yeah.
Earlier than that, in my childhood, I remember my dad used to listen to The Shadows a lot, so Hank Marvin actually
Marvin's a class guitarist.
he's
Yeah,
do you know he
he's
plays
really
gypsy
underrated.
jazz?
Yeah, man. Really underrated.
It's weird, right? He was one of the big guitarists of the 50s and 60s. It's weird just to like bar that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's something I learned from Hank Marvin. What's your memories of early music?
I remember listening to Guns N' Roses a lot when I was a kid. Learned pretty much everything I could, Guns N' Roses. Tried to learn all the Slash's licks, and then, you know, as you grow up a little bit, you find other guitarists who tweak your interest, and it changes your approach to playing the guitar. And it's cool. It's cool, like how every different guitarist that you find shapes the sort of end product of your style.
Something Randy Rhoads said was some people would copy too much, like they would copy their guitar teacher too much and then they'll sound a lot like the guitar teacher.
That's it.
Randy Rhoads was a teacher himself, but he told his students to try and learn things by themselves as well. Jason Becker, actually, he also was completely self-taught at the beginning.
You're joking.
Yeah, no, he just apparently picked up a guitar and he would like lock himself in his bedroom. One day he came out and he could play a whole Eric Clapton record from start to finish when he was 10 years old.
Wow.
Right.
Fair
But
play.
when he was about 16, I think he actually did book jazz and classical guitar lessons because he was one of those that always wanted to expand his mind musically. He had like a massive drive for it. It's
Yeah, man.
quite amazing.
It is crazy. He's, listen to Cacophony, man.
I mean, he's fucking
Thacker
insane.
Friedman.
He's a true testament to the potential of the human mind.
It is.
Obviously, his fingers were 6 foot.
Yeah, yeah. And his guitar's just like.
In the last video, I basically said that the guitarist that got me into guitaring and then start adventuring into music myself was Randy Rhoads. But there were a lot of other guitarists that drove me. There were people like Chris Holmes of Wasp. I used to play through a lot of Wasp stuff. Mick Mars, really simple, really like, good riffer.
Yeah.
His solos are more tasteful like towards the late 80s, Motley Crue, but there was something like to try and learn as a beginner. It was pretty interesting. So I kind of started not like a basic guitarist, like someone like Randy Rhoads being an influence, compared to someone who would be like Kirk Hammett got me into playing.
Yeah, yeah. Or like I like Tom Blanche. Dude, it's no shame, man. That's how I started.
And Sinister Gates, Avenged Sevenfold were actually a band I loved when the Wake and the Fall album came out. And there were guitarists that still opened my mind even more, like Jason Becker. And it wasn't like I went from listening to Eric Clapton and then hearing Eddie Van Halen one day and
big mind blown, yeah.
Yeah, so it's quite a different approach. Well, I had a guitar teacher for a couple of months, but he was very biased, close-minded, classical player, and he used to, just like, why do I want to play that for and stuff, so I quit.
Yeah, man, you should find your guitar teacher, kick down his door, glam him out, and just follow him about, just shred him.
Yeah, classic this, bitch. I'm sure he was a pretty good guitarist, but, some people...
You've got to be open-minded, though.
Exactly.
If you're a teacher.
Even though we're on similar wavelengths about music, you are like the other end of the table.
Yeah, I come from the more kind of bluesy rock sort of background. Where you're more the shred kind of guy. Starting off learning Guns N' Roses and that, like for example, for me, dude, I was like, Slash. And then I learned like Marty Friedman and stuff, and I was like,
it kind of changes your perspective. It's like it opens your eyes more.
After a few years, I started getting into the whole. I was always a Metallica guy. Do you know what I mean? When I was younger, but I don't know. The solos didn't really do that much for me.
Well, yeah.
I know. I'm not saying anything, right? But all the solos kind of sound like this.
And that's you not saying anything.
That's me not saying anything.
Yeah.
And then I got into Megadeth, and I was completely blown away by Marty Friedman's playing. You know, the first album I got was the Rust in Peace album. So the first song I really got into was Tornado Souls, and the soul in Tornado Souls.
Yeah.
Sort of changed my approach, and then, I don't know, finding sort of, exploring guitarists and finding out like Frank Gambale, Guthrie Govan as well has completely sort of blown my mind about how guitar should be played as well.
He has a very open mind. I love how he talks about music.
Yeah. Paul Gilbert, for the picking, Dimebag Darrell. They're all big influences on me, but it's sort of flavour of the month. I'm a big sort of believer in whatever you're listening to at the time will influence what you're playing at the time.
Yeah.
Like if you listen back to any guitar solos you've recorded, you can sort of tell who you're listening to at that time, because it's sort of, you'll subconsciously use licks in their style and that.
That's a very good point.
That's something I try to do when I'm sort of recording or anything like that, is go back to the old mind frame of Slash or a really melodic guitarist, so I don't end up doing all the chromatic jazz stuff all over.
Yeah. Something that's coming out like naturally in the personality of my playing. Get free string runs and things like that.
Yeah.
Just like I'd never do that. I have to like kind of. I always repeat notes in a way. It sounds kind of boring, but you get like. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like so off. Instead of 3 and 3, you go.
Yeah.
And
just throwing
forwards.
like easy kind of like hammerings in there in the same. You go backwards and you while still going forwards, like
sort of fleshing out the playing.
2 steps forward, 1 step back. I think it is kind of because of influences like Tony Iommi and stuff, like lick guitarists.
Yeah.
Like, while still trying to do 80 stuff.
Dude, Dimebag one.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh man, I bombed that now.
The high notes on that same.
Yeah, man.
It sounds like a beautiful voice.
I love it, man, and you get that whole growl like. There's that story with, who was it? Ted Nugent. There's a really famous story about someone trying Van Halen's gear.
Nuji Pooji.
I think it was Nuji Pooji.
Someone was playing Van Halen's gear?
Someone's playing Van Halen's gear and they couldn't get anything sounding like Van Halen out of it. It's Ted Nugent. Oh,
I know a Nuji Pooji. That was Cat Scratch Fever. Nitro did the cover of that song on the second album.
No way.
Gillette, Michelangelo video showed and that shit. It's really good.
I can see it.
There's a big high scream in the middle and there's actually some sweeps in there.
Oh,
Like,
sweet.
Yeah, they've got a music video. Check it out.
Check it out.
Nitro.
Dude,
Check it out. Check it out. I can't pick all those up.
No. Sam has a sick slide sound to it, like that. It's a good tone, man.
So talking about the thing of having a teacher and not having a teacher, you've got theory
Yeah.
down, but I have.
Well,
Like,
relatively.
yeah,
Yeah.
my theory is non-existent. Pretty much all my playing is completely feeling based. Like I go in the same vein of Tony Iommi, like George Lynch, apparently.
It's a good way to approach it.
Yeah,
I mean, because otherwise you're going to think about being in the box too much. You know, like a criminal thing people do is like they learn, you know, pentatonic minor, and they think you can't really go out the box.
Right,
You're stuck in it instead of writing the guitar in your head and then sort of learning it afterwards, like learning this, you know, write the solo.
They treat it like a rule.
Yeah.
Like if the theory says this, then it must be right.
Exactly.
Right, and that's so you know, even if it was written down wrong, they'll just follow it and they'll be like, but it says so, instead of using their ears. And some people actually do that.
Exactly.
I learn almost everything I knew completely off my ears and YouTube. Like, but feeling is people use it in the wrong term. They'll be like, they listen to a shredder and they go, he doesn't have feeling. Idler, Eric Clapton, he is best in world, right? But the thing is, if you are feeling it, that is, you know, if I feel like I mean, I didn't even plan that out, and you know, that's just how I play it all the time. That is what you're feeling. And it couldn't have a lot of polished technique if you wanted to.
Exactly. It all depends what you're going for. I mean, speed has its place. People don't appreciate speed, you know, like they say, like shredding and that, but speed has its place in solos, do you know what I mean? But so does, you know, slow bending blues, so does tapping, so does everything, double stop bands. Everything's got a point, it just depends on how you want to approach it and like your style approaching it.
That's right,
Do you know
and
what I mean?
how you want to use it in the music is, it's all music.
That's it. You got a groove, man. You got a groove.
I mean, Michelangelo Bettio loves how he plays, so you know that's how he feels.
Yeah.
Most people just interpret that as completely no feeling.
Pretty much everyone, I'd say, pretty much every single person nearly who says that is just jealous because they can't play it like Michelangelo Bettio.
Yeah.
Because he's nuts, man.
You see it on YouTube and stuff, and I posted a video of myself, and people are like, oh yeah, pretty cool, man, pretty cool. And then you get that one kid who's been playing for about a month, doesn't have any feeling.
Yeah. Glam.
So, yeah, how about we introduce our guitars?
Cool, yeah, let's introduce guitars. I am playing a Ibanez ARZ 700, which is seen better days, but it's my main live guitar. As you can see, by all the horrible rust and shit on it. It's a nice guitar, 24 frets, mahogany body, no inlays, which was terrifying because I remember the first gig I played with this thing was in a horribly dark place. My amp was running line out from it. I'd never done it, you know, with that amp at the time, and it cut out all the speaker noise.
Dang it.
And I had no monitor. So it was running out, you know, through the PA systems.
Oh.
I couldn't see anything on the guitar, and I couldn't hear what I was playing. It was possibly the worst gig of my life.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's a nice guitar. Active pickups as well. EMG. I've switched out the neck pickup for a EMG 85. A 60 came in it, but I prefer, you know, like the sort of tubey sound, but 85 in the neck.
Yeah.
And I've got obviously 81 in the bridge.
Right.
81's about ass. Yeah, you get a lot more pick noise out of it. You know, if you're doing a sort of a lick like, you can get away with it a little bit better when you're playing fast. So it doesn't sound like like sort of messy.
It sounds more
You're not picking-
articulated.
Yeah, you know, like even on a neck pick.
What's the bridge on that?
I think it's a Gibraltar 2.
It looks a lot like a Tone Pros almost, but it's how Ibanez do
Yeah,
it a little differently, don't they?
That's it. It's Ibanez's own brand one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty nice guitar. It's,
Cool.
it's got a nice sort of cutaway there for the higher access and that.
It's like a Super Leslie.
Yeah, it's like a Super Leslie, basically.
It's like a
Slesley.
hot rodded. Yes, Leslie. We're remembering that one. Gives a Slezzer.
Gives a Slezzer.
Yeah, man, that's a very sick guitar.
What are you playing, dude?
So I found this bad boy on Google one day. Obviously, being a Black Sabbath tribute band, I needed an SG, but I was a bit drawn to SGs. It's an Epiphone SG G400. Apparently, according to this thing on the back, it's a limited edition custom shop.
Nice.
I didn't know Epiphone did custom shops.
Yeah.
This is a big mystery. It also, you probably noticed the maple neck.
The Maple Max, badass.
When was the last time you saw a maple neck on an SG?
Exactly. I
I've
love
never-
Maple Max.
I don't think I've ever seen one. It's fucking sick. I think these are abalone inlays. I haven't done too much modding to this. I do plan to do more. That is a Seymour Duncan Alternative 8, my friend.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I used to have a Tony Iommi in there, but I wanted something that could do that, but have a little bit more of an 80s feel.
Yeah, a bit more crunch to
Yeah,
it
this
instead
is-
of dirt.
Yeah, a lot of modern players use these pickups, so it's pretty good.
That's the secret, man. Get a crunchy pickup and let your amp do the work.
It looks a bit more yellow than when I got it, but it is very,
That's
very
cool,
white.
man. You want it to create. You should just leave it. Open the window and leave it on a guitar stand. Then it'll turn like Randy Rhoads cream.
This is glossed on the back also as well as yours, which I've never had a problem with glossed necks. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of people complain that they're sticky and they can't.
They can get, but you sort of wear through it, I suppose, after time.
I don't really touch the neck very much, so I've never had that problem. But you know, it's personal preference, isn't it?
What's that?
It's like fucking country shit, man.
Yeah, man.
I remember the quote from Jason Becker talking about, you know, learning and teaching yourself, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He talked about when you make mistakes as a beginner, when he made mistakes, they become part of your playing.
Yeah.
So, you know, you'd be trying to learn Yngwie Malmsteen and things like that, and you would play it wrong, but then he would find a way of making those wrong notes become other licks that he became quite well known for.
Yeah. Like, accidental licks are the best. I got one that I made ages ago, like playing a note. I come back into it.
No, for bands, I listen to people like Ace Frehley.
Yeah.
So I was used to hearing things like.
Yeah.
So some of the solos like strut is like. I quite like my buttons, except for on the last. This is the only string I don't like doing them on. Well, actually, these strings downwards are like my favourite for doing bands because they just sound they're a bit more body to them. I guess it's the feeling.
I got the Zach Wild approach with my vibrato, you know, the hand off the fretboard, like sort of.
Oh yeah,
go
yeah,
for
yeah.
glory, sort of. Try the Steve Vai approach, the circle one, where you go like. So subtle.
He's beautiful.
Yeah.
He's smooth
Just
as
fine,
fuck,
man.
right? When he
Yeah.
does that. He's another one you can talk about the feeling thing with because he's super technical shredder.
Yeah.
He can play anything, like, and he can be all over the fretboard, and then he'd just be like,
I would say to anyone who says that Steve Vai has got no feel, listen to Tender Surrender, man.
sustain.
You know, like, ooh.
So there could be a difference between your inspiration for playing guitar and the ones that actually influence you. Some guitarists will just come out in your playing when you don't really mean them to, because it depends on how much you listen. Like I think of, I see a Dio at the bottom there, like Vivian Campbell. I've never,
Yeah.
like, he's an amazing guitarist and he's definitely an iconic 80s shredder.
Mm.
But I never thought of him as a direct kind of influence.
You haven't really learnt his licks.
No, but
But
saying
the way
that,
he approaches it will make you approach it in a certain
yeah,
way.
if you listen
I
to a
mean-
guitarist enough, like I've listened to tons of Dio, and you'll just hear something now and then you'll think, Vivian Campbell, whoa, I'm getting a Vivian Campbell vibe, just like out of a plane. It depends on how much you
Yeah.
listen to something. So, you know, say if you went a month of listening to jazz,
You'd
you'd
approach,
start
yeah, you
taking a
start
different
doing
approach.
all the jazz
right?
stuff. Yeah.
So
True.
that's quite a cool thing. So, like, depending on what you want to do at the time, you could just like listen to a certain style.
I think you sort of reach a point as a guitarist though that, you know, like you're sort of like a sponge and everything. At the start, you absorb everything, you learn all these
That's
different
right.
riffs.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point where you can actually write your own music and do your own thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, like by not having to learn something, by the time that you can actually do your own thing, you know, you think of it in your head. There's not that much of a gap between what you hear in your head, you know, the guitar in your head, and your fingers. You know, when you reach a certain point of guitar playing. So if you're listening to something, that'll influence your soloing. You don't have to learn the licks. It's because
Right.
the way you approach guitar is you're writing it in your head. And if you're listening to, oh, how would, you know, Jason Backer approach this? You're going to start being like, in your head, you're going to start writing it like Jason Backer would do it. Or
Yeah, a
in
little bit,
a
yeah.
tribute style to his way of writing.
You'd get the vibe.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be hating the vibe either. If you,
No.
It's what you feel at the time.
You can never hate the vibe, man.
An awesome player is how we get our tones as well, because that kind of comes from inspiration. Like
Yeah.
my early inspiration, I love loads of distortion. Like I love like a pushed amp. So think of someone like Mick Mars, Shout at the Devil. He was that was a massive inspiration for me at first. So I just wanted more gain, more gain, more gain. Kind of like overdid it a bit, like in the early days. I've like, you know, control it a bit more these days.
Oh yeah.
Like
Everyone's gone there, man.
I-
Scoop nerds.
yeah. And like an overdrive pedal, I love overdrive pedals, pushing it a bit more, and it's just like the notes kind of just come out easier.
Yeah. What with
It's-
Nova Drive?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like hammer-ons, and it's like almost like you're not even playing, like it's playing itself. I love that.
That's the dream.
But every now and then, I've heard guitars that are a bit more crunchy, like even Michelangelo Baio. If you roll back the tone,
Yeah.
you get the more articulation. Like you can hear the pick and stuff. Like on this amp, like it's kind of a crunchy. Yeah. But every now and then I'll be like, roll the gain. Just be like, roll it a bit more. I just tried playing fast stuff like that, and like, and it's kind of cool just to hear it in a bit different way.
Yeah.
That was what my Vivian Campbell kind of inspired.
That's pretty cool.
Oh man.
Cool song.
We need to think about.
That's spot on that layer.
It's time to say goodbye, so we're gonna have more episodes on the way. The next ones
Yep.
are gonna be fully loaded. We'll do more of a solid subject, a more narrow
Yeah.
subject. So we'll choose a guitarist like Paul Gilbert, and we'll listen to some, and then
Do some
we'll
licks
talk
and
about what
style.
he's doing. Do Mike Friedman, one episode, Ingrid Malmsteen, blah 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 blah. How they all kind of mull together.
Yeah.
And
We'll do
also
some more playing.
and there'll be
next
more
time.
gear shit.
More gear shit.
I feel like listening to some Nuji Pooji.
Bougie.
Bye people.
See ya.
More episodes soon. Goodbye.